right now. Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to a Sunday night edition of the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Bob Pompeani with you until 11 o'clock. Riding solo, so get on the phones. If you want to talk some sports, this is your place to do it at 412-575-2600. You can also hit me up on Twitter. It's at KDPomp. Very short week again for the Steelers, much shorter than it was last week. And this is similar to having a Thursday night game, for example. If you play on Sunday, Thursday night, not much rest, not much time to do anything. The Steelers have not, done well in those situations. As good as they are with an extra day to prepare, whether it's a Monday night or Sunday night or whatever the case may be, Mike Tomlin's record is amazing during those situations, but not so much when it's only 3 days. We saw that earlier this year. They had just come off a physical game against Baltimore. 3 days later, they go to Cleveland in that snowstorm, and they lose that game. Coming off another physical game with Baltimore, although Kansas City had one as well with the Houston Texans yesterday. Similar situations, but the Steelers need to win this game, quite frankly. They have to win both of their games to ensure that they win the AFC North. They can still split as long as Baltimore loses a game, but Baltimore has Houston and then the Browns, and the Browns look terrible today against the Bengals, who still not are out of it. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase continue to put up ridiculous numbers there. So bottom line here is the Steelers need to take care of business against the Chiefs. It will not be easy, as, unimpressive. I hate to use that word, but that's the word that comes to mind. The Chiefs have won a lot of games where people expected them to lose. They've squeaked them out. It's pretty amazing that they've won 15 straight games, one score, one possession, whatever games. You haven't seen that in a very long time. They know how to win. There's no question about that, and there's something to be said for that. They've won back-to-back championships. They're looking to make it a three-peat. That's never happened before in the game, and we'll see what they can do with it. But right now, they're off to a wonderful start. Now, the Buffalo Bills won today. That also means, and Kansas City's got to keep winning because Buffalo is 2 behind, but they have a tiebreaker. They beat them head-to-head. It means they only have 3 losses. The Chiefs have 1. So, again, Kansas City is going to want to play this game to win it. And, they're getting healthy. They have Hollywood Brown back in their lineup to go with Xavier Worthy, who's been very good for them. DeAndre Hopkins also in that wide receiving group. You know about Travis Kelce. And Isaiah Pacheco is back along with Kareem Hunt. So, this is a team that has some very good weapons. Of course, the biggest is Patrick Mahomes. Their defense is better than you would think. Most people don't know all the members of their defense. Chris Jones is their number 1 guy, but it's going to be tough. Now, the news today, as Mike Tomlin met with the media today, again, short week, we changed the schedules. Hope you saw it today on KDK Plus at noon. We always do a 1-hour press conference and then analysis afterwards on KDK Plus and Steeler digital platforms. But Tomlin did say that a lot of guys are trending toward a return. That would include Deshaun Elliott, who's been a big part of their safety crew. Looks like he could play. Larry Ogunjobi, hopefully he'll be able to go, as well as Dante Jackson. That's big because it looks like Joey Porter Jr. may not be able to go. As far as George Pickens is concerned, the word is that he is in a real possibility, real chance to the scheming that goes to try to take him out of plays. It opens up some of the run game. They can't be as aggressive in the box, stopping the run game. All those things are very important, and George Pickens is a big reason why. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about a big weekend for Penn State. Not only did their football team win, their volleyball team won a national championship today. That's number 8 for them as they beat Louisville. More on that and your phone calls at 412-575-2600. It's a Sunday night edition of the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call right here on KDKA Plus. All right, this is your GMC Sierra tweet of the night. Comes from Penn State Volleyball. And yes, they win the national championship in Louisville, Kentucky, beating Louisville in 4 sets. So Penn State championship number 8. And congrats to Katie Schumacher-Cawley, their head coach. She was diagnosed with cancer, stage 2, back in September. But she was there for her team, and her team was certainly there for her. So big congratulations for the Penn State volleyball team. And, Pitt had a wonderful season. They lost to Louisville in the semifinals of the Final Four, and doesn't erase what they've done. A fantastic season, again, knocking on the door. This was going to be the year, many thought, but they fell short in that. And today, Penn State took care of Louisville, and tough place to play in the Yum Center, which is basically right in the backyard for Louisville. So congrats to Penn State and their football team also with a big win yesterday. 38-10 over SMU, who looked terrible in this game. Kevin Jennings, particularly, their quarterback, was throwing gift cards around out there, and Penn State returned them for touchdowns, and that's how it was. Penn State now moves on to Boise State, and we'll see what happens in the next round of this. Hopefully there'll be some more competitive games, because the four we saw were not competitive in round one. 412-575-2600. Join us tonight, #1 Cochran Sports Showdown, on about 10 minutes late, 11:45 tonight. Andrew Filipponi, along with Mark Caboli and Jeff Hathorn, they'll be there. A lot of good stuff to get into. Right now we're getting into the phone calls, beginning with Alan in Murraysville. Hello, Alan. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing, Bob?
Good, thank you.
Hey, I'm a Penn Stater, and my 4 kids are Penn Staters, and I'm calling to complain about Chris Muller. I know he says he went to Penn State and graduated from Penn State, but he's always bad-mouthing him on this show. And, when he always does that when there's nobody there to stand up for Penn State. I really think you guys need to quit having him on the show.
Well, better yet, you should call when he's on, and we'll let you go one-on-one with Chris. Yeah, he's, I don't know how many times jog my memory. He went to Penn State. I think he had a good time when he was at Penn State. But here in this market, he's been, backing Pitt as much as he can, or as much as anyone can, given what we do. But that's something for you to talk to him about. So next time he's on, which will be Wednesday, well, maybe not this week because it's Christmas. I'm not sure what we're doing. But sooner or later, you'll have that opportunity. Let's go to Rick and Pitcairn. Hello, Rick. How are you?
Hey, Bob. Merry Christmas to you.
You too. Thank you, Rick.
Hey, I want to talk a little bit about Penn State, mostly James Franklin.
Mm-hmm.
He sort of got a bad rap there at Penn State because he hasn't been able to beat Ohio State or Michigan. But you got to remember, when he first got hired there, Bill O'Brien had coached 2 years. So Franklin had to take that program over, and they were only allowed to get so many recruits and stuff. So finally, they won the championship in 2016, which I think was a little bit ahead of schedule. And there's a couple heartbreaking losses that they've had to Ohio State. And right now they seem to be having a problem getting good wide receivers. But, I mean, everybody that I ever talk to, you watch these other networks, the SEC network, they don't seem to think too much about him. But
well, the best way, Rick, the best way to make sure that they do start talking about him is to complete the journey here, and they're in a position to do that. I think they have a pretty good draw. They beat SMU. They have Boise State coming up. And Boise State's a good football team, don't get me wrong. I happen to disagree with teams that are winners of conferences like Arizona State and Boise State getting a first-round bye. I think if you look at them, they're not as good as some of these other teams like Georgia, like Texas, like Ohio State, whatever the case may be. But Penn State, James Franklin, to me, this talk about him being fired if they shouldn't, let's say yesterday they lost. Listen, the guy's done a very good job recruiting. I realize what the stakes are with that university and in that program. You got to beat those teams once in a while. Ohio State's going through the same thing. They haven't been able to beat Michigan under Ryan Day, and now he's under fire, although I think that's just from a certain fan base and a faction that will not influence the powers that be. These are good coaches. They have good records, and you're not going to win these games every single time. But, yes, you should win them once in a while. And I think Penn State still, until they do, they're going to hear this stuff all the time. But by winning next week against Boise State in the Fiesta Bowl and getting to the Final Four, I think would make more people happy in Beaver Stadium and Happy Valley. Let's go to Vern in Butler joining us right now on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Vern, you're on.
Thanks, Bob, and happy holidays.
You too.
First of all, over your left shoulder is a Super Bowl that looks to be coming deflated, which hopefully is not indicative of the remaining season for
Tom
the Steelers.
Brady's in the house, apparently, so I'll make sure we change that.
My question for you, Bob, is I need a clarification on the spotting of the ball by the referees. It seemed like there was a delay in the referees releasing that ball, the Steelers were getting up to the line quite quickly, especially when they started to get some momentum. And Baltimore was indicating that they were trying to adjust to the offense. And it seemed like the referee was taking his time and setting that ball and getting in the backfield to let the play begin.
Yeah, there were substitution issues at work there, Vern. And I thought you were going to talk about some other spot, like some of these, runs that look like first down runs, and yet they mark them short, or runs that go over that yellow line indicating first down, and they're marked, even further ahead. Sometimes they use the replay assists for this. I'm not sure exactly what goes on. I think some of the marks in yesterday's game and the spots were not very accurate, but nobody seemed to move them or change them. There wasn't a challenge. You can challenge as a head coach if you don't like some of those, especially on weighty downs and the ball placement. But whatever the case may be, I think replay assist has been a good thing. As much as I think I would like to see it a little bit more in certain things, I think it's good that they added that, and it quickens the pace of the game as well. Thomas in Plum joins us right now here on KDKA+. Hey, Thomas.
Hey, how are you?
Good. What's up?
Hey, I just want to know what's your thoughts on the Penguins picking up P.O. Joseph?
I don't know why. I mean, I really don't. They had him here, didn't work out. They traded him to St. Louis. St. Louis makes him more available here. I don't know. I think they have bigger fish to fry. They need to get more offense, quite frankly. Now, they've gotten better offense from the bottom six, of late. I think Blake Lizotte has been very good. I think bottom six scoring has been up. But then some of the elite scoring has been down. Evgeny Malkin at last check has like 2 goals in his last 19 games. He's a minus 17. Last night they generated just 12 shots on goal as a team. New Jersey's very good at doing that. Over the years they've smothered the Penguins at times, especially in their building. And that was more of a case of that last night. So New Jersey's a very good team, make no mistake. Penguins have been playing better, but I didn't understand P.O. Joseph myself, unless they think he's about to, move and take another step forward. I don't know that he will. I don't know that he can. They traded him for a reason. Now they got him back after St. Louis didn't want to deal with him either. We're going to take a break here. It's 412-575-2600. That's the number to call if you'd like to chat Pittsburgh sports or anything else related to the college football playoff, the Penguins, the Steelers, the Pirates, whatever. We do it every night right here on KDKA+. All right, welcome back. We continue right here live, KDKA+ with the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Again, a reminder to you, we have the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown coming your way tonight. 11:45 KDKA after the late news. Andrew Filipponi, Mark Caboli, and Jeff Hathorn will be my guests. Right now, Frank in Ambridge is our guest here on line 4. Hey, Frank.
Hi, Bob. I just want to tell all these Steeler fans not to despair. When we looked at the schedule months ago, we automatically chalked these 3 games in 11 days as losses. And that was the idea. The Steelers had to build up a cushion to survive that. They've done that. And even if they lose Wednesday, they're still in a position to do what they set out to do, which was get in the playoffs and win a game. So don't despair.
Thanks, Frank. I mean, that's exactly right. I mean, that's what people said. We all talked about. We knew this was going to be tough. However, they put themselves in a position to win a division. They had a 2-game lead over Baltimore. Now that has vanished. So I think expectations change a little as you go, knowing this was coming for sure. And, they've had a lot of injuries too. And they may not use them as an excuse. Nobody should. But their reality is they're missing 3/4 of their secondary in this game yesterday. They've been missing their best wide receiver and offensive threat for 3 straight games. It doesn't matter who you are. That does take an effect on what goes on there. So I know other teams have it as well. But they still control things. And I will say this, my expectation changed once they got to 10-3, that I thought getting a home playoff game is of paramount importance. And I still feel that way. They have to get one. It makes it a little easier. If you do, you would avoid Baltimore in the first round. You would most likely take on a team like Denver or the Chargers here at Acrisure Stadium. And that would be okay, or even the Texans, depending on how things work. I would rather have that than trying to go on the road to Baltimore, because if Baltimore wins the division, that is very likely a matchup that could happen. There are those who will say, well, Baltimore, the Steelers have their number. I get all that. But it's always a tightly contested game. It's always a very physical game. And I think we've seen Derrick Henry give them an element that, even with their outstanding running backs that they've had over the years, from Dobbins to Gus Edwards to you name him, Justice Hill, this guy is at a different level right now. And yesterday we saw what he can do. Give him a hole, and it's tough to bring him down. That complements what Lamar Jackson does. And Jackson's had an unbelievable season. So I'm not so sure that I want to see the Ravens again. If it happens to work out that way, so be it. They've proven they could win, especially there. They were 4-0 down there at M&T Bank Stadium before they lost yesterday, but I still think that's a matchup I'd rather not see. I would rather have Bo Nix is better. Their defense in Denver has been better, but I think the Steelers can handle them here, as I do think they can do with the Chargers as well. They've been up and down, kind of sporadic. They've been really struggling of late. I think that's a matchup I would rather see, and it's a home one. People want to go to the games in person. This would be a way to do it. They got to win both to ensure. But if they lose to Kansas City, they better hope then Houston can help them out and beat the Baltimore Ravens in their game that same night. That's going to do it for us. We have a lot coming up this week. Just want to remind you that the game is on KDKA. I know it's on Netflix, but we have also obtained the rights locally so that you could watch it if you don't have a subscription to Netflix or you don't want to pay the price or whatever the case may be. It's going to be on KDKA. We begin at 11 o'clock in the morning. And if you've never seen Dawn of a Dynasty, it's a very good documentary. We have that for you first, followed by Steelers Huddle. That's a live show. Rich Walsh will be on the field with that one. At noon, it's our BetMGM Steelers kickoff. Charlie Batch and I host that. Rich, Jerry Dulac, and others will be over there. That takes you up until mostly game time at 1 o'clock. Steelers and Chiefs, and the Steelers are 5.5-point favorites at this point. And the Steelers need to figure out how to win a game against that very good team, because they are very good. You can say what you want about their offense not scoring 30 points all season long, but they're 14-1. Tells you how to win games, how to close out games. They know how to do that, and Patrick Mahomes is the best at doing it. So we have that for you. And then 2 hours of postgame. Chris Oak and I will join you after the game on KDKA, taking your calls like on this show, as well as postgame analysis and reaction. And that's going to do it for us. That's a wrap, as they say here in the business. We'll be back at you tomorrow night at 10:35. And for those of you who I won't see, have a wonderful Merry Christmas. Hope for all the best in this holiday season. Join us tonight on The Showdown. Have a good night.